everyone, and welcome to Hearts and Minds podcast by Kiara's Wellness Blog. I am Kiara, and here we talk about anything that can help us improve our overall well-being. And today, as the year comes to an end, I would like to talk to you about habits. Habits are a very important part of our life. Naturally, there are good habits and there are bad habits. Good habits are more difficult to develop and takes effort to continue with them. How about we discuss how we can develop healthy habits in the upcoming year? We are all creatures of habits, which means that when we do something over and over, it starts to come naturally to us. This is a habit. Habits can be formed consciously or subconsciously. Sometimes we deliberately cultivate a habit and sometimes it just tends to happen. But the question is, why do we need to talk about habits altogether? Habits are the key to a fulfilling life. It is scientifically proven that what habits you have significantly affect your success and failure in life. Additionally, healthy habits help you be healthier physically and psychologically. The issue that people face when it comes to habits is that everyone wants to know the formula to develop the best habits or how to be the best version of yourself. But there is no one formula for this. Just like every individual is unique, same way every individual's way of forming a habit is unique as well. Charles Duigg developed the habit loop, which is a part of a framework of 4 steps. Identify the routine, experiment with the rewards, isolate the cues, and have a plan. Let's start with the identifying of the routine. This is when the habit loop comes in. This is a simple neurological loop that is the essence of every habit. There is a cue, a routine, and a reward. Now what needs to be done is for you to find your components of this equation. Let's say you want to wake up early. To wake up early, you will also need to go to bed early. You won't be able to wake up on time if your body doesn't get the sleep that it requires to recharge. Here your cue is that you're tired. And when you identify this cue, you choose to create this routine every time you feel tired. You're rewarded by an early morning and a productive day. And this loop continues. The thing with rewards is that often they are in plain sight retrospectively, but isn't so obvious until it is obvious. This is when step 2 comes in. Experiment with rewards. Rewards are proven to be very, very powerful. Rewards satisfy a craving for which the routine was started in the first place. So to find out which craving is driven by which habit, you must experiment with the rewards you are receiving due to the particular habit. Now this experimentation might take time. Be patient and don't expect yourself to make any changes in your routine until you've figured this out. Now let's start with the experimentation. Say you need to wake up at 6 a.m. Count backwards to 7 or 8 hours because that is the ideal hours you should be sleeping. This means you have to sleep by 10 or 11 p.m. You should have eaten at least an hour before you sleep, which means you should eat by 8 or 9 p.m. Once you've had dinner, then spend 1 hour however you might want to, preferably without electronics. When it is time to sleep, leave your electronics and focus on going to sleep. There is a high chance you might not feel sleepy and you might feel compelled to pick up your phone or you pick up your tablet and check your messages or even look through Instagram. This is where the experimentation starts. This is where you have to fight the urge to pick up your electronics. Instead, divert yourself from that situation or urge. Try pacing in your home or do some exercises that might help you get tired and fall asleep. So, the point is that you try picking an alternative to your usual routine and see how that affects your rewards. The third step of this formula is to isolate your cues. There is a really interesting study that I would like to share with you. It is about how some eyewitnesses to a crime are able to remember the event better than the others. Initially, a study showed that some people just have better memory than others. But then a psychologist from the University of Western Ontario tried to go for a different approach. So instead of focusing on what they said, she focused on how they were saying it. With this approach, a whole pattern started to emerge. Why am I telling you this story? Because our lives work the same way. We are not able to recognize some cues is because we are overstimulated and have too much going on to pinpoint one thing. A simple way to understand this based on your own life would be to ask yourself, What is your cue for you to eat breakfast? Do you eat it at a particular time? Or you simply eat a certain amount of time after you wake up? Or maybe when you are dressed for the day? Or when you make a turn on your way to the gym? Is that turn made because the maps say so? Or is there a street sign to say so? Or you just do it instinctively? So you isolate the cues by asking yourself these few questions at any given situation. Where are you? What time is it? What is your emotional state? Who is around you? What actions precede the urge? This must be done every time you have the urge for something you shouldn't be doing or a habit that you want to change, such as eating sweets or sleeping late. This brings us to the last step of the formula, which is to have a plan. Once you've figured out what your habit loop is, what drives your reward, and the cues triggering it, and the reward itself, you will realize that habit is a choice. The formula we learned and what our brain subconsciously follow is when you come across a cue, you do a routine, and you get a reward. This reminds me of a classical conditioning by Ivan Pavlov. This was a fun experiment to understand, will a dog salivate upon listening to a bell or a whistle without the food being there? This is where you see some habits are formed in a very, very simple manner. The test is to make the dog salivate at the sound of a bell. So naturally, first, you ring the bell. The dog doesn't salivate. After some time, they show food to the dog and the dog salivates as expected. Third part of the experiment is when they ring the bell and it's followed up with the food. They do this a few times, and after some time, the dog starts to salivate at the sound of the bell because it knows that the food comes shortly after the bell. Just like that, the dog has developed a habit to expect food after the bell. Remember that bad habits are easy to develop and difficult to change. So focus on how to develop good habits and reduce bad habits. Focus on this formula, build good habits and change bad habits, and keep working on yourself. That's the key. You have to keep working on yourself. I will see you next time. Follow us on Instagram. We post regular content, and subscribe, comment, like this video to help us reach more people. Thank you.